up, everybody? Welcome to the Monday stream. First the intro, then the action. What's going on this week and plenty to talk about. By the way, you see that tech stocks are up. Congrats, everyone. See you very soon. T-minus 3, 2, 1. We're on the moon, guys. Did anyone see? Did anyone stay up? I stayed up here in Australia to watch Richard Branson spend 30 seconds floating around in the air. Did anyone else see that? Wow. I think he spoke for longer than he floated. Anyway, welcome everyone to the stream. How are you guys going? I'm sure this stock will be a discussion point today, and you guys know what I feel about this. You got to be real careful on the SPCE. So, the hype is real. 750,000, 1 million people watching live to see this whole takeoff thing. It actually went way quicker than I expected, but that's because I didn't know what he was doing. And it was pretty cool, I got to say. However, would I pay 300,000 or whatever it is? If I had like $100 million, maybe. Yeah, I probably would. Why not? The question then becomes, is it worth $11.8 billion or is this just the hype? Well, community, I want you to answer the question. Is this all hype or is this the real deal? Hype or real deal? Chuck it in the chat now and then we'll talk about it together. We've got ACK. ACK checked it out, watched it there. SW says punching holes in the atmosphere. Musti says, hell no. And then Mike says, that was a waste of time to watch them do that flight. Oh, it's 500K or is it 250K? Bradley Back says 250K USD to fly. No real profits for a decade. So you guys know where I feel on this one. I feel it is a pumpy dumpy. And therefore, what do we know? The news is out. And are we just hitting the peak? Let's see Banjo Dog's opinion here. Banjo DAWG. Bearish 2 minutes ago. SPCE read today 100% news sold. So we're going to hit it all time. All time. What is this? The all-time Twitter, the stock tweets chatterinos. It's going to hit all kind of crescendos. And only reason this thing can go up now is if the hype continues to be real. And you know the only reason the hype can continue to be real? It's not reality. It's not reality. It is going to be money making. So the question then, is it sell the fact, buy the rumor? We talked about it last week. There was a lot of people saying, what do you think about it? You know, I hate this stock with a passion. So let's see what the community thinks. They say here, SW says hype. Jeff says hype. Oh no, Jeff says real deal. So Jeff's a believer. And then Mike says sell the space. And then Sprint Cog says Tesla is pure hype too, so I don't think it is too bad. Sprint Cog brings up an interesting point. Look, I think the biggest problem with a lot of this stuff about space is always going to be, is it commercially viable? You know, Tesla is less of a reach than SPCE in some ways. Now, obviously, at current valuations, I guess you could argue anything. But just be careful here, guys. Where the real levels are going to be, obviously, you've got resistance here at the 53.07. I could certainly see it reaching that early here in the session and then maybe bouncing a little bit off that. Then you've got your really heavy resistance selling at about $60. I think that with something like this, because it's not an AMC, it's not a GME, it doesn't have that kind of hodling mentality. The apes aren't strong here. We may have some problems at those zones. And where does the bottom fall out of it? Somewhere around this $43. If you get below that, then I could see us going very close down to 37-ish, and then underneath that all the way back down. It's a pumpy dumpy as far as I see it. I think that if you're in it, congratulations. You may be up a little bit here in the pre-market. If you've been in it for a while, congratulations. And if you're thinking of buying it today, I would say go and find the next golden goose. But that's just my opinion. You go and do whatever you feel like. Gotham Bag says, need to wait on how many people will actually pay to use their service. How will it do for more than once? Real feedback is going to look like. I think there will be a lot of people that sign up for it. But again, if I don't believe it is commercially viable to be trading it like a stock is. Like you're thinking about with ever a stock, Wall Street's 12 months, 18 months ahead. It's thinking how much money can we make from this? And ultimately, that's all it cares about. And, you know, is there some kind of expanding ability here? What is the growth plan? That's the big problem that I think you're going to have. And you guys know that I don't like airplanes. So if I don't like airplanes, I'm not going to like spaceships that much, am I? Anyway, that's just a few of the things we're talking about. Let's get into the markets now. So we have the US 100 coming in fairly strong here in the morning, up 0.23%, actually leading the charge when the others are down. We have the US 10-year, which is the thing that dropped a little bit here. This is the 10-year yields. You can see why. Previous support becoming resistance, having a little bit of a problem around 1.36. I don't really think that's too much to look into at this stage. If we go back over to the US 100 and you actually go to the QQQ for a second, because you always want to trade the real market whenever possible, you'll still notice that the 20 exponential moving average is the key line that we'll be looking at throughout this week for buys and sells. There's been a lot of stuff going through about financials. We are in earnings week. The first time we've hit earnings for a little while here. The big earnings of the big banks is coming. People are worried about Wells Fargo, supposedly. They limited credit or something like that. I don't really care about that scenario too much, but let's talk about, because they've got, look, realistically, there is Fed money parked to help them out in certain situations. What that is meaning is there could be a lot of bankruptcies coming through, and I guess that's to be expected after this flow-on effect from the pandemic. Again, the Fed is going to put in place things that will create stability across the board for the banks, and the probable instability is going to be for small creditors. And I think it'll all work out. That'll all work out. So it's not really the big deal for me. If it does become a news thing, I would find that fairly viable in this case. So 4-hour 20 for the Nasdaq, moving up. Hit the first trend line, sold off. We bust that trend line. Where do we go? The next trend line. How much percentage is left here, guys? Do we have enough? Is there enough risk reward left? It's really getting close. So if you're a bear, your time may be coming soon. I'm feeling pretty good about these trend lines. Like, they've been fairly accurate. If they're fairly accurate, we might as well use them. And I just don't see this market extending much more than like another 3-4% without having a relatively good pullback that could be statistically likely based on several things. Based on the S&P 500 hitting its level as well, based on the Nasdaq hitting the zone. So it's, you know, very, very close. And I'm looking for a little breachy, little pullback, little movement up. That kind of trade would be very interesting this week. More 4-hour pullbacks as long as we make a new peak. Remember the importance of following moving averages, guys. Even here, what is the thing that's important here? Peak, trough, higher peak before it tests the trend line, okay? Or before it tests the moving average. You never want to see this. Okay? No. Do you buy this dip? No. No. You do never want this dip. That will make you a sad panda. Okay? Sad pandas. We don't have them in the room. We don't want sad panda. So you don't buy the lower peak. We don't want the reverse lightning bolt happening to us. We want to see the market moving forward in direction or backwards in direction, but actually showing strength and momentum in that direction. That is the most important thing whenever it picks back. Marvin the Martian says 101 likes. Let's get them going. Thank you very much. As always, Dave, appreciate your support, man. So QQQ, these are our levels. The 4-hour, 20, I'm watching it super hard. Let's have a look over here to the US 30, the Dow Jones. So there's a lot to unpack here in the Dow Jones. Finally, we get to talk about it. Why are we talking about it? The trend line has been holding and we're at the tippity top. Excuse me. My God, lucky I muted in time. So we're at the tippity top. We hit 34,000, 800 and something or 900. You can see the trend line. We know that if we do pull back this week to this level, then we need to find bounce. And I would want to see this thing break to the upside pretty much in the next 2 to 3 days. And there's a main reason for this. And that is that whenever you're getting close to a 1, 2, 3 kind of touch resistance, what you're really doing is you're putting pressure on it. And you're saying, okay, we're making a series of high lows. We've got a low here. We've got a high low here, high low here. We want to breach and we want to do it soon. Otherwise, what's happening? The momentum is weakening. And if the momentum is weakening, we may not be interested in the potential breakout. Always look at the price action on the right-hand side. I wouldn't even be happy if it comes down like this and then bounces back up. That doesn't make me happy because what that's saying is that why were these not the level it stopped at? Should have stopped here. It shouldn't have been able to make a new low. And then you'd have to go into the candle formation and say, well, was there a buying hammer there? Was there some kind of crazy engulf? It's all about the story that the price action's telling you. And when you start to think about it that way, it becomes so much easier, guys. So much easier to trade, to be successful, and to hopefully get those pips and those dollars and points. So we have the resistance. I'm looking at a clean break here, pullback, take up. Where to? 35,000 plus. I would expect a breakout of this to easily get us 35,000 plus and to go more towards the 35.5 or 36 zone, which will be in line with that extra couple of percent. Let's think about it. How many percent do we expect on the S&P 500? Around 2 to 3 to hit the resistance. So you'd be expecting something like that as the movement on the Dow. One to watch, key level. Definitely want to break that down. Let's have a look at the 4 hour. Okay, I like it. Look at that. So smooth. 1, 2, 3, 4. No quite breach yet. Miles Savage says the Dow Jones will take the lead. Potentially it will. And then John Moore says, I'm a sad drop bear. Oh, you won't be a sad drop bear eventually, John. It's just a matter of time before the bears get a little bit of control on the market. But usually it doesn't happen around earnings. And I said this to the private community in a hangout today. I got a lot of interesting stuff. Get me some more likes right now. We'll share it. We'll go through it. I want to go through some interesting stuff. We'll do it in a few minutes. US 500. What's going on there? Let's have a look on the daily. Still the community trend line is in focus. Scroll down to the Asian session trade. You can see it pulled off and it's coming back a little bit now. Let's go have a look at the 2 hour. Okay. 2 hour. Right at the tippity top. You can see it's moving back down. Let's have a look at the SPX, the real market here. Closed basically on its highs. Pretty important stuff. And if we have a look at the 4 hour, yeah, it's looking good. I mean, there's nothing here telling me, oh, I'm bearish right now. And that's what I mean about price action. Everything in your mind might be like, Schiller PE is 100 bazillion. We're looking at price action that's been going up and up and up, and people freak out over 1%. That's not normal. Remember, how scared were people last week? 1%. I saw videos, it was like, this is the worst market open. Top 10 worst market opens. Please. It can't be statistically. I've seen some shockers in terms of opens and closes. So maybe it was for the last year, but I don't think so. Everyone's freaking out when the market pulls back 1%. So therefore, you know you're getting to the point where they're kind of sucking in that last bit of euphoria, but it's very hard for them to push it over when that kind of thing is going. B Diggs says, good morning, Tom. A long time. Thank you very much, B Diggs. Good to have you here. Sell the news on SPCE, says Nick Kaylor. Yes, SPCE, you would have to think is hitting near the tippity top. Might trade a little bit hot this morning, but unlikely to be able to hold such a hype and anticipation. So let's talk about what's going on right now. We know this week, oh, I don't know what that is. Close that. We know this week is, of course, earnings week. What are we going to be talking about this week? Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, PepsiCo, and then, of course, we've got Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citi, etc. Some of these banks we expect to do better than others. Obviously, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, I would not be surprised at all if they made some good bumper profits, stealing from some of the short squeezes and playing the game in the markets there. There'd be profit there for them for sure. It's too much of a basic market for them not to be profiting from it, and I'm sure they had their algorithms going out of control, stealing all of the retail cash. Now, if we then think about what's happening and we go over to the IWM, does anyone know here in the chat how much of the IWM is financial? Does anyone know? Anyone got a statistic for me on this one? I'd be interested to know if anyone actually knows this. How much of the IWM is the financial base? I am the changer says, can you get dropped off to a different location on the spaceship? I don't think so. SPCE will do well eventually, says AJ. Yep, so would 3D printing, AJ. So would 3D printing. So would marijuana stocks. So would genetic therapy, which is only just coming good. It's not about whether you have the vision. You may be 100 bazillion% correct. It's about timing. It's always about timing. If you went and put in Tesla and you said, oh, electronic vehicles are going to be the biggest thing, and Elon Musk was floating around 30 years ago, it would have never been successful. It's about the right time, the right place, with the right catalysts that allow it, because the oil industry would have crushed it instantly. We're at an interesting, incredibly important time to understand that things are changing at a fast rate. But again, I'm just not won over by space. So Sergey says around 20%. John Moore says like 20%. Ulrich has 30%, even higher. IWM Financial about 15.5%. So I think it's around that 18 to 20% usually at any point in time. So you need to be aware that this week, this is going to get bashed around a fair bit depending on how the banks come through with the goods. So we're looking at this. You look at the IWM and you think, okay, what was last week's movement like? And actually it was pretty bullish coming into the gate. Like you can see the big turnaround here, and that's not bad at all. I'm still not trading IWM myself because I don't think it's giving us it's in the range, it's in our big channel, but it was in the middle, it went underneath, instantly rebounded that, ended here, and I guess it's going to try to make its way towards that resistance at 234 again. If it breaches that, a lot of participation should come in and push it through. What I'm more interested in focusing on, though, is XLF. So if we've got every financial in the book, basically, that matters coming out, what is that? That is a very good turnaround here. So we have a gap down, we have a movement, we have a gap up showing bullish strength, and then we're moving into this idea of potentially maybe even getting towards that $37, that $37 before maybe the announcement comes out. Now, this morning, of course, 36.46. But imagine if we breach past here. Then we've got a trough, a peak, a higher trough, and a higher peak. Where does this bring our financial sector? All the way back to at least 38, maybe even 38.50. That will push IWM. That will push the narrative for the S&P 500. And it really does come down to those banks. But remember, the market is generally optimistic always into earnings. Okay? So if we're thinking about being big brain on the channel whenever we can, if you're thinking about you want to have Apple into earnings, you can't just buy Apple 2 weeks out from earnings. You have to buy Apple out usually 2 to 3, maybe 3 to 4 weeks out from earnings, because it will start moving into that optimism, that buying the rumor kind of concept. That's what we're seeing even happening with the banks here. The buying of the rumor into the announcement, then a week before, another big purchase into it because they're optimistic about the result. Time will tell whether it gets through 37, but if it does, this will be a catalyst, I believe, for further purchasing in the financial sector this week that will also cause a catalyst into the IWM, into the Dow, breach the Dow, send the S&P 500 into the right area. I think the financials will definitely lead the way here. And it's been a while since I've discussed that. Thomas Donegan, Canadian, $1.49 with the hamburger emoji. Thank you very much, Thomas. Appreciate your support as always, man. Always sending me those hamburger emojis. Gotta lay off them, eh? I'm gonna put it on the thing. I'm gonna hit the gym again, And I tell you what, gotta get it done, guys. We're gonna get it done as a community. Jonathan Trentwell, you need to be in shape, honestly, if you're trading heavily. The YouTube sent me down a bad path here. Jonathan Trentwell, super chat at $5. Let it snow, please. Yes, Jonathan. Hopefully you picked up snow last week. That was very, very cool. James O'Leary says, after the first crash is the entry point. What crash? On what? We'll take a look at where this market could theoretically go down to. But yeah, XLF at 37 is a key critical zone that I will be looking at with laser-focused, laser eyes into this. And again, markets don't generally crash into earnings unless the earnings miss. If you're of the belief that earnings are going to hit or at least live up to expectations, it goes like this. So here's earnings season. Here's the market. Yeah. At the end. It's the buy the rumor, and then after the fact, sell-off time. Why did the market sell off in February? Why does the market sell off in certain times of the years? It does this because it's always about hype. Hype. Euphoria, of course, greediness, and then fear, and the extraction comes through. All right, let's have a look at Snowflake, because Snowflake had a tremendous Friday session, absolutely blitzed it. And this one actually had a little bit of extraordinary kind of trade in here. And I did mention it through the Friday session onto the Thursday session. Something about Pentagon contract, but more importantly to me in the price action was what I noticed over this period here. So this day we were obviously the market was obviously falling off. And then it fell after having a great rally and then instantly started rallying throughout that session. And as soon as that happens, when you have a bad day and you're starting to see something rally out and it's still finding huge amounts of buyers, even though the day was bad, you know there's something in there. And this is all ahead of, remember, a breakout that we were expecting. It's something that's very nuanced, but if you can ever spot it again and you see this type of thing and you see the volume and the day's down, but it's moving and it's still moving into what you think could be a potential breakout in the future, it cannot be underestimated looking at that. A lot of people think I'm always going to buy the cheapest price and stuff. You're better off going with the money flow. And there was just a very strange, interesting trade going on this day. And that was probably the teller to all of us that the market was heating up for snow and it busted through 270. Let's have a look at the weekly here. Put it in perspective. So first TP for many pretty much has been hit. I tend to think there could be even more in it. It could go upwards here like an inverse head and shoulders, like we discussed, to the $300-ish mark. So there could be even more. It's one of those ones you might scale out of over time and have a few different technical ways of playing it. But yeah, congratulations if you're in snow. Well done. Huge breakout here on the weekly. You can see that big movement, and I could very easily see a 290-300 handle in front of this. Larry Cahay says IWM Financials is 21.66, and then consumer cyclicals is 16.86, healthcare 16.72%. That's correct. And then industrials and basic materials, etc. So yeah, things are heating up for snow. It's summer in America and the snow is melting. Eka Aurora, Australian $2, leaving green money that can be picked up on the ground. TA on ALB. All right, we'll check that out. Thank you also to the subscribers coming in. Appreciate each and every one of you. And yeah, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Great to have you here. So let's have a look at this one for you. ALB. I assume it is not the Australian one, or is it the Australian one? You have to tell me if it's Australian. Remember that. If this is ALB, it has very little TA other than to think it's back to a weekly 20. This is in a full decline kind of mode with a very little transaction. If it's the New York one, so the one on the American exchange, that looks a lot better. In fact, it's got a beautiful trend line. What a beautiful trend line, guys. And it's trying to breach. In fact, I would almost say it already does breach off this move here. This big candle. Yeah, I think that's already going. Nice. That's a good chart. I don't know what this is. Chemical speciality. trough, peak, higher trough, higher peak. As far as I'm concerned, with the trend line like that, the way the price action goes through, that's a very nice movement up into hopefully the peak of 188. Hopefully that's the one you're talking about. It's cool. Let's do Tesla. We will do it soon. Ekarora says US stock. You get some good ones, Eka. This is a good one. You always find good ones, man. Thank you very much, Dave, as well, for sending that through. So this morning, it's all about the Nasdaq currently. The 10-year is coming down. Let's have a look at the TLT bonds, the 20-year Treasury. This is always something we want to watch, coming down as well. Oh, a little bit of pre-market action up. We'll be watching this one incredibly closely to try to find out when we believe the market's going to have a proper pullback. Remember, if I see 20-year bonds closing up here at the same time as we're hitting the community trend line, at the same time as we're hitting the QQQ top, at the same time as we're hitting whatever else resistances across the board, am I going to use some options? Damn right. Damn right. Because I want to protect my positions, and so should other people. You always want to know what's going on and then make informed decisions based on what you're seeing. And if everything's lining up in a certain way, remember, it's not going to be in the news. It's not going to be in the article where Jimmy stands up in the morning and goes to New York Post or New York Times or whatever, and he searches and says, market euphoric, time to buy. This fund manager says so. 12% more in the market this year, says an analyst from blah blah. Jimmy goes, okay, I'm going to buy. Well, poor Jimmy lost all his money, and he's sad because he accidentally used a 5x leverage fund. And unfortunately for Jimmy, he shouldn't have followed that paper. Shouldn't have happened. But that's why we want to bring everything together as much as we can. We know valuations are stretched. We know that it's a time for investment in different areas for the longer term. Many of you guys out there in the community know this. It's not going to be as easy as it was last decade just to go, okay, I'm going to buy Apple, I'm going to buy Amazon, I'm going to buy FANG. Every FANG stock is my stock. Speaking of that, we do have some FANG stocks to talk about today, but it's just not going to be that easy. Poor Jimmy. mRNA will boom this coming earnings result, says TG. mRNA is an interesting one from a stock perspective. It's kind of like at that point where I'm worried about it from a resistance. I love healthcare companies, but anyway. All right, let's do Tesla for you guys. Tesla. It's a devil. It doesn't know what it wants to do. And it's actually the most boring hyper stock. Funny how the most fun stock, when everyone talked about it, became the crappiest stock to trade. The reality is it's been pretty difficult. Now, we've got this thing trapped so hard that we almost have lines everywhere. But there are reasons for each one of these lines for new viewers of the channel. We have the bottom trend line. I love the bottom trend line. It's great. We have the daily 200 moving average, which is this green line. We have the 20 exponential and 50 exponential, which are these two lines here. They're very well used. And then we have our upward trend line, which got breached recently, which showed all of those lower peaks coming through. And all of these things are intersecting at these key points. So we've got horizontals everywhere as well. Now, my expectation for Tesla this week, guys, is we better go down and hit 670, 671, okay? We need to go into the 1 hour. Let's go to the 1 hour. All right. So I want this market to do this. Bam, bam, some pullback of some kind. Movement through, pick down. Great trade there, by the way, if that does happen. 700 breach, and then we're off. And you know what? I don't even think it'll pull back if it gets a 700 breach. Tesla, when it breaks, and it breaks a key resistance, it just goes. It has a break, it closes, and then it goes. The trade is on, and people participate in that. So something like this would be my scenario for Tesla. From the bull case, from the bear case, of course, it's 670, back down, lower we go. So it's going to be critical. 670, though, is a very key zone. I would be incredibly surprised if Tesla can't get a 670, 671 through. It just makes sense. If we have support, we have support. Why wouldn't that become resistance in this area? Become a very important point for us to be looking at for the Tesla charts. It has to be, yeah? It has to be. Surely, community. Miles Savage says Amazon, Tesla, AAPL, Microsoft, AMD up in the pre-market. Well, speaking of which, let's have a quick look here at the Webull pre-market for you. Let's check that out. Must have reset my little computer here, so we'll have to use the percentages. Let me just fix this for you guys. Okay. Probably need about 24.6 to get that through. And then I'll make it all earnings. That should give us about 484 results. Perfect. Let's have a look at the pre-market here. So best things, we've got Tesla up 1. We've got CrowdStrike as well up. We've got Roku up 0.79%. Maybe it's time for us to re-look at Roku again. We've got Microsoft up 0.57. So all Alphabet there as well. They're all looking really, really good. And here are the losers of the session so far. Now, I'm surprised actually to see Alibaba down. I am surprised. And we may need to look at these stocks because I think the price action that we saw in the Chinese stocks on the last 3 sessions was the type of thing that's got to be very, very close to it's either a boom turn or serious bust. And it's very critical that things like Baba stay above $200. And right now it is up there, it's moving, and we'll have a look at the chart a little bit later. Got a donation coming in from Ulrich Nielsen, DKK $50. UiPath, I did a piggyback on this one, bought it last week for $64, and I saw ARK had been buying it every day for 2 weeks into every ETF. Ah, cool. There's nothing wrong with doing that, by the way, Ulrich. I think that Cathie Wood has some interesting insights into companies. She also does certain due diligence, and there's also a chance of hyping into those stocks if they start running well. So sometimes it's worthwhile checking out a stock that she's adding and then making your own decisions based on your technical knowledge, which they do not use, onto those stocks. Here's a case in point just before we go into the other one. This is Ions Pharmaceuticals. Now, I know their funds purchasing this, but I look at this chart specifically on a weekly and I say, what's going on here? Well, firstly, there's purchasing down here. The volume is up fairly heavily on where it has been. It's also down and out looking thing. We have a weekly bullish hammer. We have a weekly rejection here. We have decent price action above. And then we go into the daily and you could say, okay, well, there was a big purchase here, which is probably ARK. It's probably ARK itself purchasing around this zone. Who knows? And then it's moved up and we've got resistance, resistance, resistance becoming a support area with a long leg doji here of indecision. So what if we get decision made where it's a closure above? Do we believe that has some entrance into the 44? Absolutely. Why is it here now on my list? Because I looked at a few of the ones she was purchasing. I don't know much about this company, but the point is that it's actually not a bad level. And sometimes when she gets good levels, it can be quite good. So you were talking about UiPath. Let's have a look. Okay. Now, is this one any good? 4 hour? Well, that's a big low leg doji. So decision made would be bullish above here. Movement then to 72.50. Down would be worse. Okay. As we know, would maybe push back down to those lows. We need to be aware that someone like Cathie Wood's going to have like a 5-year horizon on it as well. So all this resistance has been cracked. We've got a long leg doji of indecision above. And we're currently at 66, 67, 71. Probably hasn't done just quite enough for me, Ulrich, but I appreciate your analysis there. And I would like it to break this, and then I can start getting into the participation phase. Up to this point would be where I'm looking at, $72. It's only a little bit, and then if it breaches 72, of course, so much more action could be there. Good luck, Ulrich, and not bad. Jeff Christensen says, Cathie Wood dumping PLTR. What is your thoughts on this? Well, I've never owned PLTR. I know the community loves it, but isn't that main reason the community loves it because Cathie Wood purchased it? Look, it's not a good sign. If you're wondering about like Cathie Wood in general, I guess maybe you might want to go to like Cathie's ARK or something like that. And then you'll need to go to her combined funds, and then have a look at, where is it? Let's have a look. Holdings. If we go to, where is PLTR? Did she dump a lot of it? Let's have a look. ARK K and ARK W. Okay, so she still owns quite a lot of it. It's not like she's dumping a huge portion of it overall. She's maybe just trimming up a little bit. She's been adding to her order, and now she's just holding. I would say, based on this, I don't think much of it. She's obviously not thinking, I'm going to buy heaps more of it, but she's not dumping huge loads. So I would say I have no thoughts on that, and it's irrelevant information at this stage. She'd be dumping huge. James O'Leary says Kathy just sold some small percentage. Exactly. It's basically a rebalance. So think of it as when you have an ETF, a lot of investors don't really think of it this way. You're adhered to certain rules. So Kathy would most likely own Bitcoin in everything if she could, but she can't because of the way the SEC want to run things. If we then break down having a fund, that fund might have a tolerance. That tolerance might be I can't hold any more than 10% of anything, or I have to hold 5% at all times. Possibly if it moves up, she has to trim that little section down. It could be a whole bunch of different things. Mr. Murray, yeah, I got it, Mr. Murray. Well, he says, who's in charge of the FX Evolution merch? We need the Pumpy Dumpy t-shirt. Look, hey, I don't have the graphical skills to get the real thing. I need but I also have a certain thing that I'm looking for, but I don't even know what it is. I'll eventually get around to the t-shirts, Mr. Murray. So yeah, 10% reshuffle or rebalance, whatever you want to call it. They usually have to do this, and I would say it's a slight trim for whatever reason. It's nothing to look into. Speaking of things you should be looking into, though, FANG. This has been the best chart that I've seen from a trading perspective of indices, and that is the 2-hour 20. What a phenomenal pickup rate this has been for day traders recently. We talked about it a few times. We've obviously been on this train here since probably around that level, talking about this 20. And it continues to be good, but it must continue to make new peaks before it comes down. I don't want to see no equal peak test. You wouldn't take that. It has to be a new peak and then pull back, and then you can take it. Remember that. Very important information when it comes down to it. Looks great, though. Look at this. Boom. Look at the weekly. Wow. The FANG is unstoppable, guys. The FANG is unstoppable. But as we know, all good things come to an end eventually. And it just convinces me the more it goes up, the faster the speed, the more likely we are after earnings season to have the fabled pullback. Now, I'm optimistic. I'm hodling. I believe that there is a little bit more juice here, but we are getting close to the point where we need to be very, very careful about almost everything we can. Kevin N says, I love Pumpy Dumpy on a t-shirt. Will get you a lot of dirty looks and number of face slaps. Well, firstly, I'm just wearing it on stream. Pumpy Dumpy. I'd never thought about it that way. I literally just thought about it from the TA perspective, guys. Whoa. I just spilled some water. Whoops. That was a bit stupid. Barber looks to be doing all right, says Bull Rocket. This is the person, Bull Rocket, for anyone that doesn't know, has a stock portfolio consisting even worse than some meme stock portfolios. It is 95% Barber. 5% probably SPCE. Let's have a look at Barber for Bull Rocket because I feel bad for him. He only buys Barber. All right, we got lines here like nothing else. And there are some really solid lines here. Number one, the trend line that goes from 2016 all the way through. That got reached last week. I think that is incredibly significant level for Barber. Incredibly significant level. And it must hold the line. Otherwise, the Barber is doomed. It's doomed, guys. Did buy off it. This trend line we might as well get rid of because it's been invalidated now. So what do you do? But it's time to put up or shut up for Barber. And I think JD probably presents the best pattern here. And JD's basically got bearishness, straight bull, gap down, buy, gap up, volume consistent. I'd like the volume to be even higher. but all of them are on the support. JD, Baidu, Baba all hit critical supports. Remember, they were breaching the other day, and they've come back down to the critical supports almost immediately. So thanks to the government intervention. So it's time to put up or shut up for these stocks, and hopefully they can do some good numbers. Everything I see here, though, does look relatively good. I mean, you've got to say, if you're sitting here going, I buy dips and I love dips, damn. All right. Thank you very much for the subscriptions coming through. Bull Rocket says the 5% is in JD. So it's basically just Baba and JD. Wow. I would buy the Pumpy Dumpy t-shirt, says Boogie Troy. That's good, Boogie Troy. Why do all these Chinese stuff have so many gaps? Because they trade during the Asian session as well. So because the stocks, it's kind of like going over to Rio here. So if you look at Rio in the American market, this is Australian stock. Nice double bottom, by the way, on Rio. Damn, guys. Look at that double bottom. Let's try and... Anyway, this will have a lot of gaps because it trades other markets. So anything that trades consistently throughout other sections and then also has a portion trading in the American market will do this type of stuff. Tencent doesn't look as good. No, Tencent looks disgusting. You look at Tencent. Oh, no. At least it hit the second support. When it busted here, though, geez, you knew that there was a short down to this level. This is the real deal, though. $500 for Tencent. I remember reading articles around this January period where everyone in Asia was like, woohoo, Tencent, and it just went crazy. But $500, you're starting to get some okay valuation back into this stock. We've got to remember in 18, to put it in perspective for these Chinese stocks, in 18, this game manufacturer, whatever conglomerate of beast, was at about 471 and then dropped to 250. And then it had all the pandemic growth, which definitely benefited in many ways this company. And then because of intervention, because of overhype, I believe it's oversold itself. It's got to be getting close to oversold. This is a serious company, guys. But again, intervention does this. It creates a fear or at least a scaredness to be in it because it's a manipulated market and it can be tough to trade it. Let's go over here to gold and talk about what's going on with gold. So the weekly, you look at this, You go to the daily, again, it's trading in a range, and again, we will need to wait for even more. There's decent buying and selling going on through this. You can see this long leg doji. You can see the indecision going through gold. Let's go to the 2-hour chart. I think we've got some cool levels this week, specifically this one down here for the support. If this support gets breached, 1795 kind of zone, I could really see some sell-off here in gold. If it breaches to the upside, which would be 1815, then I think 1845 is the next stop. So there's some good stuff coming in here in gold, and it is improving, even though it looks like it's Chop City. It is improving. CLS SEP said space to the moon. Well, it can't go to the moon because they can't get out to the moon. Unfortunately, if the rocket ship can't go to the moon, it's not possible for the stock to go there either. Tencent owns the Tesla stocks. That's probably not helping it right now, is it? Supply of dollars is shrinking, says Bloodbath McGrath. Yes, there's a lot of discussion. It's funny, one minute you're talking about inflation, the next minute you're talking about deflation, the next morning you're talking about hyperinflation. It's super interesting what's going on with money policy. I will stick with the exact same thing I've always said. We can only look at what happened in Japan, and what happened in Japan was kind of like a stagflation, deflation scenario due to monetary policy. And because America is a stronger country, I believe that when we saw that first GFC and then saw monetary policy, we actually still had growth. This time round, because of innovation, as long as America plays the innovation card very strongly, brings back jobs, I still think that they might be able to get inflation occurring again correctly. Most people are now starting to bet on deflation. I feel like it's going to be in the middle, guys. I know that sounds really boring, but that's actually not the polar opposites that you're seeing. Both sides are fighting it out, going deflation, hyperinflation, stagflation, whatever. I think it's just a gradual curve. And again, it's due to the fact that the American economy is robust. And I got to say, incredibly good at getting out of tough situations. The velocity is slowing. That's right. AMC down 4% pre-market. What, says Melty? Let's have a look at all of our stocks. Let's dial in here. So we've got AMC. Let's have a look at this one quickly with the community. 4% down. I think we got some great picks on it last week. What do I feel about this? Ugh. Not much. Not much. I feel absolutely nothing towards AMC this week. Breach below 40 is, of course, going to dump this stock super hard. It's going to be very brutal. In fact, I could see it going like $20. If it gets under here, I'm not even kidding. I could see it get destroyed. To convince me that we can go back long, we're either going to see more price structure in here or get back above 52.35 to get that hype train going in. It's too tough to pick statistical likelihoods here. We definitely knew that we were in a channel range. We picked the pullback to here. We picked the movement up to here, or at least the movement up straight after. It's done what it needed to do. It had 2 excellent trades on it. I hope some people got those trades through. But for the AMC ape gang, for people that are holding it, you just want it to hold above 40 at all costs. It needs to do that. GME is kind of similar. If you think about GME, kind of needs to hold around this 180 line, previous resistances becoming support, and ideally it starts to get back above 200. We'll keep watching it, but we have not. We don't really like them at this stage. Speaking of stocks we do like, Facebook looks pretty good. Long leg doji off the 20 exponential moving average on the Friday section. You'll notice closure decision made. Still a little bit of movement up here to the 358 kind of area as well. Big bullish candle, 352.30. It looks like in the pre-market. That was a great closure here for this, signaling further bullish momentum and possibly a new high coming in for Facebook as well, leading to a 360, 370 plus kind of zone. Yeah, I like it a lot. Facebook, it's slow and steady and boring. Ulrich Nielsen, Super Chat DKK $20. SSE, what direction do you think judging on the weekly? Let's have a look at SSE for you. Again, Ulrich, I need to know which market you're looking at here, man. I assume it's this. SSE. This is the futures contract. Oh, yeah, I think it's just a CFD contract. I mean, you would have to go with more bullish than bearish if that's the true daily. Range, breakout, pullback, conservative entry. You're looking at it going back into these highs, Ulrich, really. Not a huge amount of percentage there. Not super feeling great confidence or anything. Weekly looks fine as well. Yeah, hopefully it can keep doing it. All right, here we go. Johnny Bravo says, over the weekend, I got a pizza, but DoorDash delivered it. Papa John's short on drivers. Went to the Dollar General yesterday, and they're closing early now at reduced the hours down again. Really trying to figure out what all of this means. Well, I can tell you one thing. Don't order on menu log here in Australia, guys. They don't deliver the food on time. And they think it's acceptable to deliver the food 2 hours late, okay? So, Snoop Dogg, you promised me a lot in your ad, but you did not deliver anything. It was terrible. Anyone else had bad menu log experiences? Damn, that was bad. Shocking experience. Yeah, that's interesting about the DoorDash stuff, but more importantly, the reduced hours. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe just Dollar General is not doing very well. I don't know. I actually don't know anything about that store. Maybe some people in the community can tell us whether Dollar General is doing well in their area. Then we've got Christopher Collins coming in with $4.99. Good morning, Tom. I am trying to link the Discord from your website. I don't have an 18-digit code on Discord. Any suggestion what I should do? Yep. Type !identity. If you that's all you got to do, man. In the Discord itself, type !identity. It will give you the code. You can pretty much do it in any room. But you'll then have to apply it using the instructions that are there. If you're having problems, message me privately and I will sort it out for you. Thank you very much, Christopher, for your support. Appreciate it, man. Got some interesting stuff going on there as well. I added the bots into the room on the weekend. So you guys should start to see the bots giving you a whole bunch of news feeds, insider trades, etc. And we'll be using some of those on the live stream as well when possible. Glenn says late delivery certainly annoys users a lot. Yeah, 2 hours late sucks. Anyway, not about us, eh? Not about the late menu log. Weekly, another rejection here for the dollar index. Imagine if this all turns out to have like a big bullish close here on the weekly above the 50 exponential. Imagine that happens. Trap city from Wall Street. And another catalyst that could be lining up very, very well with everything to do with the bullish market turning bearish sometime maybe late July into August. We'll be watching this one incredibly closely together as a community. It's very important we watch the dollar index whenever possible. We've done gold. We've done the dollar index to a degree. There's not much to look here, unfortunately, this week. With a weekly close like that, statistics are low on us being able to pick a good direction for it other than you'd go bearish, and I'm not seeing a bearish signal that I like at this stage, so it makes it hard. So let's start dialing in on some of the stocks. We'll start off here with Square, and then we'll get into crypto with Square. So Square bounced off 230. It then filled, or it is about to fill, the nasty gap, hopefully up to 244. You guys know I'm fairly bullish to stocks. Have a look at the weekly. It just saved itself last week. It was close. We have a rejection that looks horrible, and we ended up with a long leg doji. So again, it's reliant kind of on the Bitcoin price, a little bit of the market to move it through. And yeah, I think Square is pretty tough here. But let's go over to Bitcoin to see if we can figure out what it's doing. So firstly, the weekly closed above the 50 exponential. That is a good sign, and it should give confidence for Bitcoin traders to know that there's still buyers coming through here. However, the volume was down on the weekly overall. Let's have a look at the daily. The daily is hideous. It's incredibly difficult to trade. Let's have a look at the 8 hour. The 8 hour is also pretty tough. So there's a couple of ways you can string it. This is the problem with trend lines. Some people are drawing this and they're saying, oh, we got a breakout. Some people are drawing through this high and saying we haven't hit it yet. And I would say if you're ever in doubt of your trend line, either don't use it and use horizontals, or just draw the one that goes straight through the peaks, so that you can just say, okay, well, I know this can only be looked at one way. Not a great look here for early session Bitcoin, but hopefully it can turn around. And I expect if it does get back through here, we should be able to breach that 35. We breach the 35. I have a good feeling if we breach the 35 that we'll be actually starting to make some headway here in recovery. But yeah, it's just the weekly. And if you're trading this, it is scalpy and day trade only. You can't swing it, guys. If you're trying to swing trade Bitcoin right now, it's just so difficult. Just so difficult. Bloodbath McGrath says at this point they are fighting for customer share of the market instead of profit. You are absolutely correct. That's in reference to DoorDash, in reference to Uber Eats and all of those. They don't care about profit. It is all about being the last one standing and effectively squeezing out the competition to create what they hope is a monopoly, but obviously will be like an oligopoly of some kind, like multiple winners, but not that many of them. And then no one will ever be able to scale into them. So the key of these DoorDash, Uber style businesses is that once there's a winner, it becomes like Google. How many people have tried to come up with search engine on the internet? Do you know it's now, I would say, actually, community, do you think this is possible? Do you think anyone can ever compete with Google again in search. Other than I know Microsoft has Bing. But do you think anyone can ever compete with Google search in the Western world? Yes or no? Chat, what do you guys reckon? What do you think? Yeah, Bitcoin's tough. Let's go Neo. Get a lot of requests about this one as well. Neo had a good bounce off the 43. Currently trading 45.79 here in the morning. Go the daily. Go the weekly. Weekly 20 bounce. 1 hour. Do we have any strong signals either way? Not particularly. If you're a bull, you know that you're going to have problems around this level. You're going to have problems around this level. And then, of course, the next zone. I don't have any real strong opinions about direction on this right now. Urban says, DuckDuckGo. Is that like some search engine that I don't know about? That means I'm a boomer if I don't know about a new search engine that's pretty good. Tesla search. Decentralized search will come. Okay. I like every dog has its day, most definitely. Switched to DuckDuckGo about 6 months ago. What is this DuckDuckGo? I don't even know what it is. Oh my goodness. I'm boomering, guys. I knew about, that's pretty bad. Tad Blair says, with Google, many have tried, a lot have failed. That's right. It is very, I mean, when you're synonymous with something, but I will say this. Remember, people used to call vacuum cleaners Hoovers. If we called it a Hoover, wasn't Allen wrench not even an Allen wrench? Wasn't Allen like a brand or something like that originally? You know, these are the types of things that, like, now we call them, we don't call them Hoover no more, or even vacuum cleaner. We call them the Dyson. I've got the Dyson. Someone says, oh, I've got a Miele. What is that? Is that a Dyson? What are you talking about? You know what I mean? It's synonymous with the brand name. And that's why when people say, I'll Google it, maybe, I don't know, I'll DuckDuckGo that. Duck. That doesn't sound very good. I don't like duck. I'm going to DuckDuckGo that. Imagine saying that to someone. That doesn't sound good to me. I don't know if DuckDuck's got it, but I'll check that out straight after the stream. Let's have a look at Zillow. This one almost did enough. Look, 2 rejections, closure at the high, looking to fill the gap. I'm feeling all right about that filling the gap, actually. Look, you've got nice rejection again, closure above, gap here. Should we be able to fill it? Hell yeah, we should. What is that? 117.58. I'm feeling all right about that gap fill on Zillow. AAPL, it continues to go from strength to strength to strength, like all the FANG stocks. Apple will make an all-time high on open today. Congratulations, Apple holders. You have the true faith. I'll be talking about this one as a giant ascending. We have a big target for it. And again, we believe that this stock is the thing that's going to pull the Nasdaq, pull the S&P 500 with Amazon, with Google into earnings. It's going to pull all those other ones through. And hopefully they'll all hit our trend line at the same time. It's kind of like Wyckoff. Does anyone really like the name Wyckoff theory? I know you don't. That's why you can't use DuckDuckGo. Duck. Too funny. Miele equals dishwashers. I don't even know what Miele equals. Ovens? I always thought they were ovens. But I believe you can buy Miele other things. Let's have a look at Amazon. Another one that isn't, it's only halfway through our expectations towards 4,000. So Apple, we have high expectations for. If you're wondering how to follow Apple, by the way, 2 hour 20. 2 hour. This is the FANG. 2 hour 20. Look at it. Let me zoom in. It's as simple as that. We're running out of great entries and opportunities because we're getting close to the end game here. Google. DuckDuckGo's taking their market share. Maybe they'll take Tesla's market share with their cars. I don't really have much feeling here about the Googles. The Googles is basically done its kind of thing. It's breached out. It'll move with the rest of the FANG. We'll see how it plays out. We've done Snow. Let's do Enphase. Now, Enphase is an interesting company because this one, look at this on the weekly. There is no sign of this thing relenting yet. But more importantly, long leg doji, everybody. Look at it. It's just sitting there. It's just like, you know what? I'm not sure what to do now. I don't know what we're going to do next. We bounced off the previous resistance. Congratulations, people that dip bought that. That's a great line. Great zone, guys. Great zone. And then if we get further movement up, and especially if you're in this bullish and you close above here, I don't see why Enphase Energy can't get a 220 out of itself. It looks relatively bullish. I don't really see, again, any bearish intentions here on this chart. We go down to the 2 hour from at least a technical perspective. It looks pretty good, and hopefully it can continue through. You know there's going to be strong buyers around that 172 level. Strong buyers because of the previous resistances getting just purchased up there. And again, daily 20 was hit, which is a great level to be hit. Absolutely fantastic. Mary Marsh says DuckDuckGo is awesome. All right, let me have a look here. DuckDuckGo. Oh, yeah, I've used this before. The picture of the little duck. I'm not a boomer. I have used this little thing. But yeah, I don't know why I didn't bother with it. Privacy searching. Let me have a look here. Let me search FX Evolution in DuckDuckGo. Let's see if I like it. Okay. So it's basically just using... I'm a bit blind to be able to see this one, guys. Can I change the settings so it's too blind? Yeah. I mean, I guess I can press that and maybe go somewhere else. We'll check it out later. But yeah, DuckDuckGo, it's all right. It's all right. It's private. That's good. Darth Sidious goes, Met, just get a VPN. That's true. VPNs, though, some of them are slowing down because they've definitely let the service go too far. Now, Microsoft continues to be pretty bullish. However, I do, again, think this is one of the most extended FANG stocks. So be careful with Microsoft. It has a tendency to go on a big run like it's done before and then hover around. If you're wondering when's the time to really get into Microsoft kind of things, usually the weekly 20. See how good the weekly 20 is, guys? Sometimes investing can be that easy. You just pick the dip, but you got to pick the right levels, and 20 seems to be, it's like catnip for Microsoft. It really does come down. ARK-K, you should never do technical analysis on that. ARK-G looks all right. Nothing special. CRISPR's close to that buy zone again. 137 is a very heavy zone here. Didn't quite breach underneath. See the long leg doji here on the weekly. Kind of got right to it. Still bullish on all these kind of stocks myself. Maybe wait for trough, peak, pullback, higher trough, higher peak, sorry. Kind of sequencing. Getting through the 2 hour 20 here so that we can start more sequencing up. Yeah. I think it looks all right at those kind of levels. It's another one I've been watching. Starbucks was brought to us by one of the community members last week. Congratulations, people who have been in this one. I think it's been a very nice trade. You should be very happy with yourself if you take it off this breach or the pullback, or even a pullback back here. And Starbucks is getting ready for a breakout to a new all-time high. So again, if the Dow starts going, the S&P starts going, I would expect Starbucks to come along with the ride here. AMD, another one that's moving pre-market. If people waited for it to get back down to that daily 20, again, a great dip buying opportunity here that occurred. Go down to the 1 hour. See how important this 1 hour is. So we've already had pullback, movement, pullback, new peak, sitting on all the moving averages, which will now act as dynamic support. So we're going to open up above that, possibly sell into it, and then hopefully find new peaks off this. I believe AMD is looking pretty good and pretty nice for further purchasing this session, maybe even into the rest of the week. It's all good on quite a lot of those. We're now 24 minutes away from the market. Thank you to the 1,440 viewers joining us this morning. Great to have you guys here. Let's take some community members. Now, I only want good TAs, guys. Let's take the chat. We don't have many super chats here on the Monday. People are sleeping in. So let's find out what you guys think are some good stocks. And I want good technicals. Give me the time frame that you're looking at and good technical stocks, guys. Not just trash that you want me to look at. Let's have a look at Datadog as well. The D-Dog. Old D-Dog. Daily. It's a good trade. Beautiful flag. Kind of breakout that occurred here. $96. The old Datadog moving on upwards towards that 118. Pretty good money here as well in Datadog when you think about it. $70. That's a 53% increase on a solid stock. I tried to understand what this company did. It's mostly like an interface that lets you be faster at everything else. It's kind of bizarro. Demand Sahani, thank you very much, Sahani. Australian $2.99. Hey mate, ASX 200. What's up? What's going on with that one? We'll have a look at the SPY 200 for you, man. Let's have a look. So this is the Australian market, if you're not aware. Top 200 stocks, S&P Standard & Poor's version of it. Stuck in a range. Weekly, stuck in a range. Looking for a closure above this zone. And you know what? It's going to signal further buying if it does. It's not through there yet, though. 7,500 is my next target for the ASX 200. Looking for a closure above this level, possibly daily. Yeah, probably just anything above. Maybe that today's high. 7,350 probably is enough. And then we should be on to 7,500. Look at the Dow. A good rule of thumb is if the Dow fires, because the financials are doing well, because we have so many financials in the ASX 200, usually it will fire with it. So Dow, ASX 200, decently together. We got a US $20 donation from Scott Morgan. We'll give you some claps here. Community, can we give some claps to Scott Morgan? US $20. Morning, Tom. What do you think about AAWW? Looks like a cup and handle on the weekly, thinking it could reach 115. AAWW. Atlas Air. Air freight courier. Hey, as far as aeronautics go, it's less bad than the others. All right, let's have a look at the weekly because it doesn't suffer from the same kind of passenger jet issues that maybe like a Virgin Galactic might if it crashed or something like that. So you're saying on the weekly, what are you looking at here? Thinking about cup and handle, could it reach 115? Holy moly, that's a big pick, man. All right, so what a cup and handle is basically they're talking about like a big dip and then it's like a handle here. And then they're saying, oh, it goes the big dip distance, which is this. And then you basically go, hey, I want to take this distance here and I want to extrapolate that out and try. And that's where that 115 comes in. All right, guys. So if you're sipping your cup, wait, I got a cup with a handle. Here we go. You're sipping a cup with the handle. That means you could make $115 on this stock. I'm not a huge fan of the old cup and handle concepts, but I like drawing it because it's cool. What I'm probably a bigger fan of is just looking for follow-on. Now, do you know this resistance is super critical? Absolutely. Look at it. It's respected it once back in 2018, failed, and then respected it again back at $76. It probably points to, based on an air freight courier, that it should have done very well through the pandemic. And it probably does better in a globalized economy, which I feel like we're decoupling from. That being said, weekly looked excellent. And I would love to see a breach above this zone here. So let's have a quick look. $70 would be the level I'd be looking at. Yeah, I'll have a look at $70, and that would be the zone I would be focusing on. Is it good? Looks all right. Get above the daily 20, the daily 50 exponential, 70. Then you can take a much better order into 75. And if you believe in your cup and handle concept, then 75, of course, maybe 115 is possible. Scott, I'm not really huge on the 115 concept. But if you have the faith, then that's good. I like 70 into 75 quite a lot, though. Quite a lot. All right, I'll go back to look at this SSE, but realistically, again, I don't know what it is. Oh, the Shanghai Comp. Sorry. Yeah, just tell me Shanghai Comp. I have it as SH Comp because it can be a stock, Ulrich. All right. Let's have a look. Support. Long leg doji today after the close. That was disappointing to me. I was watching it in the Asian session. I thought, that'd be pretty sweet. Let's go down to the 2 hour though. So for me, it's all about this 2 hour. I would love to see a closure above here for the Shanghai Comp. And if it gets above 35.50, then we should be able to go back to the highs of 36.20, 36.50 ideally, and then a weekly close, 36.50 is what I'm looking for to get the Chinese market started up again. Support found, resistance found today, long leg doji. That means we're looking for a decision made. Then we look for participation. So it's all about long leg doji into participation if we can get it, Ulrich. That should hopefully help you out. People want GME. I've done that a few times. Let's scroll up here and see what other people said before. DDOG is used for cloud service monitoring. That's right, Eon. Yeah. I had a look at it. I didn't quite understand how profitable it should be, though, in the market capitalization. So I didn't end up rebuying any. QCOM, my friend, says Astro A. We can do QCOM, man. QCOM. All right. Up 0.4%. I feel the exact same way I did last week about this. I still think it's an opportunity from a TA perspective. We had a massive rebound weekly on QCOM. We've got semiconductors all bouncing off as well. If you look at the semiconductor index, it's doing again better with the recovery. We got that huge movement back above the high, which is great. 142 here in the open. You know what? QCOM should be sound, and I've got lofty expectations. I want a 157, 158 out of QCOM, or at least a 152. I don't particularly love the company, but the TA, it should be good. And the weekly was a good rejection, so that makes me happy. Let's see if it can come through with the goods with another green day today. Nothing changes, though, with the analysis, the nice low tests, the fact that it's breached that zone, and I think that's bullish. Maybe this is just a shakeout. Across the market, they did a shakeout last week. C-Bay Daily, says Ralph. Let's have a look. Wow, there's a therapeutics. That's good. Daily. So you're saying long leg doji into one decision is good. Yeah, I mean, it's on the base floor. This company's worth $300 million, so obviously not very much in the scheme of things. That probably should have started more than it did. So with C-Bay Therapeutics, I'm not sure if I'm loving it. Probably not, but that's a good start. And if you like it, you've found a good base. So that's good. Supposedly there's a code called Pool Corporation. That's funny. Wholesale distributors. So they sell pools, do they? Look at them go. Making all that sweet sugar rush money. Same thing is going on here in Australia. Heaps of people going lifestyle choices. Buy the family pools, if that's what it is. Look, very strong trade. Know it for what it is, though. It is a trade and not a long-term investment when you're looking at this type of stuff. You want to look at BA? Let's have a look at Boeing. BA weekly, incredibly great. Bullish hammer here. Like to see a little bit of momentum. And then from a day trade perspective, generally when I see momentum coming through after the bullish hammer, that's the type of thing that I look for entry. The reason why is because you've got weekly 20s also finding support. It's that kind of key critical thing. You want to see that momentum following on. And it certainly was in that case. We're about 14 minutes away from the market, so I'll just quickly dial in here and talk about some of the things that I think are big decisions this week. The first one, we've talked about it before. It is the financials. So XLF will be something I'm looking at incredibly closely. We've got a huge amount of earnings coming out across the banks, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. You've got to join us, subscribe for tomorrow's session, because we will see before the open Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. This will probably set the tone, or the beginning of the tone, considering it's the two banks that should do the best. Most likely these two did the best out of this whole squeeze, interest in stock markets, etc. And I expect them to do okay. We'll cross that one out because who cares? And we'll cross that one out as well because who cares? So these ones, we don't care, but I do care about that. So Tuesday morning will be the big thing. And if the financials go hard, it's going to be great for the Dow. It's going to be great for the S&P 500. And it's going to be, of course, that catalyst to get us to the next level. So if you're not aware, you need to be watching those. To things today that we'll be watching, of course, let's look at the US 100 into the open. Great to see the firing of the FANG stocks coming through early there. I will put in Tesla because everyone always likes to watch that one. And it was up fairly decent pre-market, 1%. And I'll let you guys pick the others. What do you want to see? I guess SPCE will come into it. 2.89% here. So buy the rumor, sell the fact. Could certainly be playing out. You know where I feel about this one. I'm not a big fan. Mo Justice, Canadian $10. Hey, Tom, can you have a look at PLTR? All right, we'll do that. We looked at it before, but what we didn't do was we went to only talking about Cathie Wood. So firstly, I want to state this. Cathie Wood selling any of this PLTR, it's not a big deal. It's a smidgen, little smidgen. So whatever you've heard on the internet, that is not a big deal. Look at Cathie's arc. You can see the small sell. It's most likely just a rebalance. That sucks, the pullback that's occurred recently. It's a very deep pullback and quite nasty. We can't even find heavy support here. Let's just dial this back completely. Let's go line chart. We need to go line chart. Dial this back to the most basic concepts of TA. Where do we know we've got support? Weekly here. This is what I actually do most of the time. I use a line chart. Okay. You agree with this one, guys? Then we go daily. And we can start pricing a little bit better so we know that there's a lot more daily wicks around here than the weekly, because they're all closed prices, remember? So we can say, okay, well, that's probably a better support. Do we have any other supports through the middle here? Not really. We have a resistance over here, which could be a problem if it comes back, because this should have been probably where you would have expected, being the $24. Previous resistance became support and a 50 exponential. That is where we want a PLTR to bounce off, not wherever it is now. That's not cool. It's a hyped stock in the middle of two ranges as far as I'm concerned. Let's go to the 4 hour. Nothing much changes here. So let's move over now to the candle chart. All right. Go 1 hour. Okay. So I feel pretty bullish about it into the 24. The reasons? It's in the middle of the range. It did bounce off. We know the tech stocks are firing. We know the hype is coming into these stocks still. And if that's true, then it could fire. But I do feel like it's going to have a problem at 24. So it's going to go like this, is my feeling. And if it can get through 24, then we can resume uptrend. If we fail at 24 and it comes back down, PLTR has done us wrong. Good little candles here. Two nice bullish candles. Very, very good. Not bad at all for that one. So yeah, break it down. Line chart first, guys, whenever possible. It will simplify everything you do in life. If you look at something like QQQ, you go here and we get rid of everything on this screen. probably shouldn't use QQQ. Oh, that's all right. I'll just draw them later again. Okay, let's get rid of everything on this screen for a second. We go over to a line chart. We go to a monthly first. Okay. What you're always going to notice when you do this is you get a bit of an idea. Well, firstly, you know instantaneously we're in an uptrend. And sometimes throughout history, during deep buy the dip pullbacks, deep buy the dip pullbacks in history, what is the moving average that you need to pay so much attention to when everyone else is fearful and you want to be a Warren Buffett greedy person? Can anyone in the chat tell me? If you're a Warren Buffett greedy person, let's just say theoretically this market fell off and you were a smooth-brained ape that has no idea how to do anything and you're like, me buy, right price. Which is the right price that you would look at? Community, tell me now while I pour some water. Britsu says, I didn't get my super chat. Britsu, what was your super chat, man? Let me have a look. Did I miss it? I don't see your super chat, bro. Just say it again and one of the mods will send it to me. Dave, can you send me Britsu's one? The 20 EMA Huey. But SMA will also be okay. That is correct. Look at this beautiful thing. It's not rocket science, guys. Mean reversion on the monthly. Look, the line chart has taught us the way. You move this over to the candle chart, it may confuse you. Are you going to get the lowest of the dippity dips? No. But what did you get? You got the closure price on the monthlies. That's awesome. You didn't get the lowest price on the dippity dips, but you did get the close. Look at it. It's beautiful. Look at where the closures are. Ah. What did you know about that? All right, let's go to the weekly. Enough of me ranting about things. We know also the closure recently has been the 20 weekly. So during the more notable, easier dips to navigate, it's been going down to the weekly. We can start to draw some horizontal support resistance. Okay. Let's say theoretically the market falls off right now. Where do I think it's going to? Makes sense to go to the 20 weekly, yeah? About 7% down. We're not asking that much from it. That's literally all we're asking for it to probably go down here. Go to the daily. Wait, Mike sent me a super? I don't know why those super chats aren't coming through. I'll do yours, Mike, in a second as well. Resistance. Got the trend line. You can see it on the line chart. Trend line. Closures. When you see a trend line this way, it's super beautiful. Amazing stuff. Line charts are the best if you can be bothered to start there. You find the best TA in the line chart because it's the closure price and it cuts the crap out. This is basically what all the old timers did. They drew pictures. I have people, I'm not even kidding you, where they took data and drew it on a dot plot. I've seen that from old school traders. They drew it on a dot plot manually. I was like, oh my goodness, how do you draw this? They were drawing their own ones. They weren't even using the computers. It was so funny. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, it was tough back then when they were drawing it. But they use line charts, they use the closure, and easily we've identified some super critical zones that we can be paying attention to here on the QQQ just by using the line. It cuts out the rubbish. Let's do these two technical analysis questions that we've got here from Mike and Britsu. I literally did not get either of these, so I apologize for that. We've got here Beam Global, and I have no idea why I didn't get them because I'm using the same program. But anyway, just shows you don't buy shares in Streamlabs, guys. It doesn't work properly. It is not the best. So Beam, firstly, this is most likely. Wait, you want Beam, B-E-E-M, or B-E-A-M? Beam Global. Oh yeah, I do want this one. Okay, so this is one we discussed a little while ago, and it had a breach, which was here. Then it had a pullback, and it looked very good from a technical perspective. You had 20, you had the 50 exponential, you had the 200, and it got slaughtered. I think it's probably a great example of why I usually don't go down under a couple of $1 billion companies. This is a $300 million company, and I know we're 5 minutes away from the open, guys. and it failed the technical, okay? So realistically, this is actually a chalk loss. You will have to take a loss here. Take the L, unfortunately. There's two ways you would have taken the L. Either having a stop under here and getting hit out, or you would have got hit out here, which is probably my preference, or hit out somewhere in the middle by giving it extra moving average. There's no doubt it had a breach, it failed, and it is a good technical that I would take. If I saw that on Apple, if I saw that on Microsoft, if I saw that on Google, you bet your dollar I would take this trade every time. Why? Because it's a super solid setup. But because it's a stupid $300 million company, it doesn't trade as technically. We need to understand the instrument. Now, you're probably wondering, what do I think of it now? Well, I think it's at the resistance, and I hope it gets through there for you today. It's got a bit of work to do. So it's made some recovery. It needs to get above this today, which it is. It's trading at 34 currently, which is around here. Got moving averages all over the place. So it just needs to keep churning up, and I'd like to see it close above this resistance, 33.72 today. So a 34 plus close will be a win, and that should signal some further bullish pressure on Beam. Yeah, sorry, Mike. It's not the best stock in comparison to the other Beam. The other Beam, while it's pulled back, is straight on support with a huge bullish hammer that's come through. I'm waiting for this thing to explode out of the gates, which it's doing right now. Good. Go Beam. Get out. Get it done. Then we've got Britsu TTD Trade Desk. Bullish flag on the daily. If I ever do miss your super chat, please let the mods know and they will message me. So always just say that. Message, if he's here, usually Marvin the Martian. Or maybe even Kevin or Sid will send it to me. Thank you, guys. TTD, what do you think about this on the daily? Well, firstly, it looks kind of like Square. You got a rejection and a long leg doji of indecision. Let's have a look at the daily. You are correct. That could be a flag. Let's have a look at the 4 hour. Okay. More likely. So indecision at this point. Obviously, if it did break out, you'd have that decision made. The question is, how much distance would you take? Would you take from the breakout, like a lot of technical analysts will, and then they'll take that and extend it? It proofs incredibly well as well. Not bad. I'll put it on the watch list, man. TTD. The trade desk is back on. All right. Nice. All right, we've got 2 minutes to go, guys. Let's load in here. You guys get to pick the last one. I don't mind that trade desk. It was all right. Wait for the breakout, and then hopefully it can move. Thomas says DuckDuck won't track you like the Googles. I'm all for that. You guys know I have Google Homes or whatever they're called. I unplug those things. After I was talking in the house one day, and then all of a sudden I get ads. I don't know if it was my phone or if it was the damn Google at home, but you know what, Tyrone? I know you're watching. No. That thing ain't listening to me no more. AAPL is the question. Okay, here we go. We've got 1 minute till the open. I hope everyone has a great day. It looks like FANG stocks are the place to be currently. Tech is the lead. However, the US 500 has come in very strong near the end. Things that we're looking at, obviously all these stocks here still are of interest. We had QCOM still looking really, really good. And we've got TTD is not bad. Facebook looked good as well in the early session. Apple, etc. So we've got 20 seconds. Let's open the bell. Might as well. Straight from America. Thank you. There we go. Beautiful sound of the Nasdaq bell there, guys. And we will be off. SPCE, buy the rumor. Pumpy dumpy, sell the fact. Let's find out. In the first 5 minutes, we should see the key to that one. All right, SPCE comes in 1.22%. Immediately sells off to almost a red, but not quite yet. AAPL open strong, 0.73%. Let's have a look around the market. We've got Neo 1.44. We've got Square 0.7. We've got the Snowflake having a little bit of a breather after doing what, a 7% day or something crazy. I can't remember. TTD 0.83. That was a good spot there, by the way, from Britsu. I do agree with you. It looks all right. QCOM comes in okay. TDOC as well. The short potential stocks all down slightly here, and SPCE now 2.4. So what I expect from SPCE for people that are out there. I expect it to test the highs with all of the hype. And the main reason is because if we look here at the amount of chitter chatter, it is all-time highs, the chitter chatter. So everyone's excited. There'll be a lot of buyers. Maybe these bears are probably, I think, correct, whether it's today or it's tomorrow. But I do expect a little bit of a rally. And then by the close of the session, I'd be super surprised if it holds a green. I really would. US 100, I would love to see that continue to fire here. What did the barber open up? Where's the barber? Down 1%. JD down 0.33. CRISPR down 0.29. ARCG actually up. So, okay. I'm happy with that. Square now up 2%. Wow. Coming out of the gates very strong there. All right, let's look around the Webull scanner. What's going on over here in the scanning world? Percentage change. Roku, number 1, 2.6. We'll take a look at that in a second. Zscaler, 2.55. Twilio, 2.47. DocuSign as well. Tesla, 2%. Whew. Tesla. Does that put it on the resistance? 669, yeah. Where are we? Tesla. 670. Okay, just hit it. Let's have a look at Tesla. Oh. 672. Perfect. So this is where I expect those little nasty sellers to come in initially. Little scalp sellers. Let's see if the bull of the market can just completely obliterate them. It's a good first step here for Tesla. Oh, I'm interested in that. All right. Bring that up. Nice. So that's where I expect some profit takers to be. SPCE dropping. Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't think it can hold a green day. If that holds a green day, I don't know what to say. I'd do some kind of bet, but I don't really want to know any bet. By the way, did anyone see, I feel I lost the bet that I didn't get a choice in the person to pick. McGregor lost terribly. That nasty ankle, I think it was a shin break, was disgusting. Got most likely checked and then it just splintered after it. Oh, nasty stuff. But I tell you what, McGregor's fan base, he's definitely getting, I feel like he's kind of done. He's done. Maybe he'll come back, maybe. But surely he's pretty much done. He's just collecting cash at this point. Kind of reminds me of when Tyson was just collecting cash back in the mid-2000s, early 2000s. Barber recovering very fast. I'm pretty feeling... Bull Rocket's feeling good. I'm feeling okay about the Barber man for you this week. The Barbers and the JDs and stuff. I'm feeling much better than I was last week. Those supports should hold up for you. Let's have a quick look at the DocuSign because I've been ignoring this one for quite some time. New all-time high reach for DocuSign. Congrats if you're on it. Pretty good percentage return as well. Look at that. Look at that thing. Probably shouldn't have ignored it as much. Huge bullish pressure coming through. Probably too late if you're not on it. Let's have a look at Roku. Roku daily 20 was hit. That's a good sign for people taking that up to the 480. All these things make sense. Hit the 480 for Roku. Hit the resistance for the QQQ. They're all really setting up for those types of ones. Let's have a look at Twilio. TWLO. Ooh. All right. Twilio on the breach, actually. Not bad. Nice structural... nice structure here. No 4-hour break ever above. 400 to resistance. Next level 440. Not bad at all. Twilio could fire pretty heavily. Chuck that in the list. Old Twilio. Yeah. That's not bad at all, guys. Nice consolidation after a big run. Been a few days here waiting around. I'd love to see a daily close here and then that to trigger into the 440, which is still 10%, so not bad. SPCE is halted. Yep, just froze then, you're right. 6.24% down. All the meme stonks, unfortunately, really taking a dive. I kind of feel like we're at a point similar to, what was it, March, April, whenever it was. Can't even remember if it was February, where basically GME and AMC went up hard. They crashed. They consolidated for a few weeks. But I will never, as long as there is short interest on AMC and GME, I will never put off the idea that it will have another fire. So let's say it goes down and consolidates at a fairer price for some period, then it comes back alive. That's very, very doable. For AMC, it's do or die around $40. Needs to hold 40, and if it gets underneath there, I think Wall Street will create a huge amount of fear, and that will run through. Destruction Warehouse claims I also missed it, which is Atos. I'll have a look at that for you now, man. Atos Therapeutics, 525 on support. Go to the 4 hour. 1 hour. Not really seeing the signs of life here on this one, man. Big trend line down. That's going to be your repair. So what you're looking for is this bullishness that's happening right now, followed by further bullishness. And I want to see it actually break a 560 closure above 560 to start the repair for you. That's a good trend line down though. So you can be pretty sure that if you get that recovery, you're making the first step of structural foundation for further buyers to come in and then hopefully participate this up. So Atos probably need to be on the 15-minute chart for this one. Strongly, this support must hold for you. If it doesn't, downtown. Snow really popped last week, says Scott Morgan. Yeah, it went crazy. That was a huge amount of trade due to those contracts, I believe. So look, it's a pretty good morning this morning. Decent greens coming out of the tech stocks, which is what most of us are hopefully looking at. I think a lot of the retail community are in those types of stocks. Unfortunately for SPCE, I said I'd come back to in 6 months and 12 months. I don't believe, okay? I've never believed. I don't believe. I think it is the pumpy dumpy on SPCE. And unfortunately, while it's awesome and hey, I want to go to space too, it'd be cool. I just don't believe in the commercial case for it. And I think that's the big problem. Commercial case is the big issue. And maybe I'm proven wrong, but that's okay. There's plenty of stocks in the sea for us to get action on. US 500 here up, and so is the Dow now, trying to hit all-time highs. US 100 come down a little bit. So it's a super interesting morning here throughout the sessions. Banks will be in focus tomorrow. Make sure you come and join us. I am excited for the first time in a while to see what JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs have truly made from us and our retail money. Let's find out tomorrow. Thanks so much for the super chats, guys. We'll see you in the next session. And as always, make sure you subscribe, get into those daily videos. And if you haven't already, get the TA cheat sheet that I've attached above or join our free public community at least. Catch everyone. Bye for now. Tolga says, Tom is right. Pick your stock carefully, guys. Yeah, we got to be picking real careful at the moment. Oh, Airbnb. Did you have a look at it? I didn't. Let me have a look now. Airbnb. 148 down 0.88%. I mean, there's no trigger for me on Airbnb to really think there's a trade here. And because it's an IPO with less than 12 months, I hate it. I gave it its fair chance, and I'm going to stick to my rules of not looking too much at it. 155 is where you need the breach to get 164. Musty says AMC's green again. That thing, it's down for me, Musty. 1.4% down. SPCE beaten up 8% so far.